Welcome to She Sells Radio. My friend, this is going to be a short form episode, a solo shorter episode about how to have more discipline. And it was inspired because I've been thinking about this a lot lately in my own life, about just really getting real with myself about what areas am I saying I'm going to do something and then kind of letting myself off the hook? Or in what areas am I not 100% in integrity with my word? Now, I am huge on integrity. I'm huge on follow through. I'm huge on discipline. And I think probably outside looking in, most people would look at how I run my life and say, like, she's crazy disciplined. She's got crazy integrity. But I also know that there's a next level that I can always be reaching. And when I think about the person who has the reality that I want and leads the number of people I want to lead and creates the impact in the world that I want to create, that person has a tremendous level of self-discipline. And so I wanted to share this with you today because this really applies in all areas of your life, right? It's going to apply in your business. It's going to apply in your sales process. It applies to your workouts. It applies to your family life, to all of it. And if you're taking notes on this, I want you to write this down. Discipline creates freedom. Discipline creates freedom. And it may not feel like it creates freedom. It may feel like the opposite. But if you're not being disciplined with your word and following through on what you say you're going to do, you know what that's like. It's like this it's mental prison we put ourselves in of beating ourselves up and constantly like trying to get caught up on stuff. And that negative energy, that to me is the opposite of freedom. That's creating prison for yourself. So when you live a disciplined life, it's not that there's not fun, because part of discipline is scheduling in fun, scheduling in self-care, scheduling in the things that light you up and that fill your cup. But it is about really holding yourself to the highest possible standard for you. And so the first thing that I would do if you want to hone in on how to have more discipline is take a look. Now, this is not with judgment, right? Because I always believe for all of us, like, we are doing the best we can with what we have. In most scenarios, we've been doing the best we can with what we have. But if you're listening to this and this is speaking to you, okay, there's probably another level that you want to go to in your life. So take a real hard, good look at your life and look at, where am I not in integrity with what I say I'm going to do, or with what I say I'm going to do? And I'll give you an example, right? So my husband and I, we work out in the mornings together. Now, this is a kind of new thing we've been doing for the past few months, and it's been fun and it's a good bonding time. And I have it on my calendar every morning for 6:30 in the morning. Now, he and I are both early risers. I'm usually up really every day now around 3. There's some days where it's like 3:30. Maybe 4, because I'm committed to my 7 hours of sleep at night. That is important. But sometime between 3 and 4, he's usually up between like 4 and 5. So it's not that we're like sleeping past that 6:30 wake up time. But what we had been doing for the past few weeks is, it's like we would have this 6:30 workout time scheduled together, but then he and I would be in our offices next to each other, and I try to get, my most important work done in the morning before the day starts. So I would be at like 6:35 or 6:40, still completing some things. He usually meditates right before we work out. And so he would still be in meditation. And today, like the day that I'm recording this for you, I was like, you know what does the highest version of me do? What does the most disciplined version of me do? Because I know that when I show up like that, he's going to show up like that too. And I was like, no, we start right at 6:30. And so this morning, 6:28, in the workout room, getting the workout playing. And we started right on time. And it was a different energy of like, no, this is happening no matter what, because it was just this little place where I was letting myself slip and saying, oh, 10 minutes isn't a big deal. But you know what? When you've got 30 minutes to work out, 10 minutes is a third of it. Like, it is a big deal. And that extra 10 minutes, I'm feeling it today, my friend. I'm feeling it. So it was a little thing of like, oh, I'm not 100% honoring my calendar in this. And this is something I desire to do. So here's what I would do is I would look at the different areas of your life and pick one pick one area where you're going to create some more discipline, some more follow through on your end. Now, if this is in your career and in your sales process, I think one of the best things you can do is get some public accountability around what you're going to do. Whether it's texting, if you've got an accountability partner, if you've got a mentor, text them at the beginning of the week. Hey, here's what I'm committed to this week. And in fact, after I record this podcast, I've got a couple different accountability partners and mentors, and I'm going to be texting them with what they can expect me to have completed by the end of the week. So get it up publicly. I think that's one of the best and most important things we can do, especially when it comes to our prospecting activity, our outreach, right? It's easy to hide behind all the admin and all the minutia of things that feel easier and feel less scary than doing outreach, but get some accountability around it. Now, it has to be in the energy of no shame and no judgment if you don't hit the goal. But I do find that getting it out there and letting people know and see what are you committed to doing, you're going to hold yourself to a higher standard all throughout the week, especially if you're like me and like many of us and you're working from home right now. It's easy to hide. And when we're in that energy, we don't show up at our highest level of performance. So get some public accountability around it. Now, in your personal life, I wanted to talk about this too for a moment, because I think this is important. Getting some more discipline in your personal life, because you've heard this and it's true. How you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you're letting yourself off the hook in certain areas of your personal life, or if you don't have discipline and structure in there, then you're going to be letting yourself off the hook in certain areas of your career. And just like I talked about, the workouts and how I've been letting myself slide an extra 10 minutes before getting started, that to me was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to hold myself to a higher level in my personal life, because I know that that's going to translate to holding myself to a higher level in my career as well. So one of the best pieces of advice I ever got from someone, and I don't remember who it was, but it was so good, was to really treat your personal life like a business. Treat your personal life like a business. And I love that. And then when I first heard it, I was like, well, that sounds like the least exciting, least sexy thing you could say to me, because if you're like me, when you're in business mode, you're all in. And sometimes when you're in your personal life, you just want to chill and relax. And I'm not saying you're not going to chill and relax, but I'm saying you're going to give it some structure and pre-plan your personal life the same way you would pre-plan your week in your business, so that, again, you actually create more freedom. You create more freedom in your life for you. And I think this is one of the keys of highly successful people. You have so much going on in your career, whether you're in sales, whether you're running your own company, whether you're running a team. You have so much to manage. You have clients to manage. You have maybe team to manage. You've got family to manage, right? You've got so much to manage that if you don't have systems at home that are keeping things humming and keeping things running for you, then you're going to feel not as focused. Your brain's going to be scattered. You're going to feel you're not going to be as productive. You'll be, about to walk into your office and record a podcast, and you'll notice, oh, shoot, nobody cleaned the kitchen this morning. So let me just clean it real quick and get it done. Well, guess what? You need a system in place so that you're not running into those distractions throughout the day. So I'm not saying you've got to be perfect with it, but I would say, what are the systems you can put in place at home to free up your energy? Because if you're like me, like if stuff is scattered at home, if it's not organized, we're still unpacking from our move, and we're making progress. I usually unpack a lot faster than we did this time. But there's certain parts of our home that are super organized right now. And there's certain parts that, if I'm being honest, I'm like, oh, it drains my energy to even walk in and look at it. And so, again, I'm giving myself grace with this. This isn't about being perfect, but it is about knowing what you need for structure and support and for mental freedom and clarity, so you can show up your best at work and at home. So in our home, for example, now this may sound, maybe you're already doing this, and if you're not, maybe this sounds a little crazy, but when we had Jack almost 2 years ago now, I literally found I had to make a to-do list to remember to make the bed, to brush my teeth, to walk the dogs. I mean, it sounds, all those things had just been on autopilot before, but when we had Jack, everything was thrown so much with our schedules, and anyone who's had a newborn knows this, that I literally had to look at kind of restructuring everything that we did in our days and how we worked together to make sure that everyone was taken care of, and the baby was taken care of, we were taken care of. So what I ended up doing was making a manual for how our household runs and who does what. And we've used it now as we've brought in some team at home and people to help at home. So we've got phenomenal help at home. And I think that's something that's always important to be transparent about. Now, as I record this, the incredible woman who's our nanny and our house manager, she's traveling out of the country. And so it's me and Jason right now managing all of it. And we're like, ooh, this is real to like manage all of it on our own. And I also know that there's a lot of single parents out there listening to this too. So it's like, shout out to everyone who's running all the things, right? I have so much respect for you, but it's important to have as much help at home as you can. Just because when you start to really systematize and look at everything that it takes to run your household and keep animals, children, yourself taken care of, it's a whole lot. I mean, it really can be a full-time job, right? So we have a manual for how our household runs and who does what. On Sundays, most weeks, some days it's Monday. Like, again, I'm going to be so real with you. I'm not perfect with this. This week, it's going to be Monday. I didn't do this yesterday, but I'm going to do it today. Planning out the week ahead and chunking, okay, who's in charge of childcare at what time? What are Jack's activities going to be during the week? And just making sure that everything is pre-planned as much as possible and pre-scheduled as much as possible, so we don't have to think in the moment. That's the biggest thing that I think will create that almost that feeling of mental prison for you, is if you've got to think and make a ton of decisions all throughout the day about what you're going to be doing next. But if you have the discipline to pre-plan, you don't have to do that. And it's so liberating. And so looking at how can I add in that planning time on Sundays if I'm not doing that right now? And when we do this, this is going to free up so much energy and space for bigger and more important decisions in your life. So you really want to look at, just in closing here, I would say pick one area. What's one area where you want to have more discipline in your life? Decide one thing you're going to do starting right now to create that discipline, to elevate into that next level of person who shows up higher and better in that area of their life, and get some accountability around it. Comment on this video, or if you're listening to the podcast, send me a DM on social. I'm at Elise Archer. Let me know, what are you going to do? I'm happy to, help hold you accountable in that too. So that is it for you today, my friend, how to have more discipline. And as always, if you want support in this area, again, just send me a DM at Elise Archer on all social. My team and I are happy to talk with you and connect with you and just look at how you can rise to new heights in not just your sales and career, but also your life as well, because it all matters. All right, my friend, thank you so much for listening. I hope this served you, and I will see you on our next episode of She Sells Radio.